This presentation is brought to you by Arizona State University's Julianne Wrigley Global Institute of Sustainability for educational and non-commercial use only.
So as most of us, if not all of us know, the City of Phoenix has this goal to reach 40% diversion of waste from landfills by the year of 2020. And so what we were tasked to do by the Walton Sustainability Solutions initiatives was to look at best practices from around the country and around the world to inform strategy development for reaching this goal for the City of Phoenix. So within our case studies, what we did is we took literature and we identified municipal leaders in both diversion and contamination with a primary focus on national cities in the U.S., a secondary focus on international, in order to provide recommendations for the City of Phoenix. But before we went and dove into the literature, there are so many cities out there, so many different practices that we found it essential to bound our parameters for our case study comparison cities. So we had two required parameters, first being similar populations. We had a range from about 1 million to about 4.55 million. And then we also looked at higher diversion rates of over 40%. Those two were required parameters. Our optional parameter was cities that had either a similar political or a similar ecological environment to Phoenix. The City of Phoenix has issues particularly in food waste, looking at, as we saw in the last presentation, things like food waste with the type of temperatures that we have in the desert.
So the first thing we did in getting into this research, we were looking in to see who are the leaders in terms of diversion and what can we learn from them. So as you can see, most notably, San Francisco has a diversion rate currently of 80%, and they're actually hoping to reach zero waste by 2020. So they're extremely progressive, and they also have the most stringent of mandates, which I'll discuss. But so some of these cities, as you can see, they definitely have different political and cultural climates compared to the City of Phoenix. But we did think that there are still a lot of lessons to be learned, despite the fact that they are very different. Oh, we can hit the next slide. So we wanted to talk about, just go through some of the best practices that we identified. The first thing that we investigated was mandates. Mandates, like I said, it's a little bit difficult here because of the cultural and political situation. But we thought if the leading cities are doing this and this is how they are getting to those high diversion rates, we should investigate this. And so San Francisco has the most stringent of mandates. They require curbside collection of organics as well as blue bin recycling for commercial entities as well as residential, both single family and multifamily. And they've had a lot of success with that. Seattle is another example as far as mandates go, and they've actually had a little bit of trouble in terms of pushing their diversion rates. They were hoping to get to 60% by 2012. They're actually at 55.7% right now. And even progressive cities have had pushback in terms of mandates, but they are hoping to introduce mandatory organics collection beginning in the year 2015. So they're moving along as well. And San Diego has also had a lot of success. They started out focusing on just